Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So today I want to talk about solving manufacturing and service challenges with AR. And to be honest, there are a lot of challenges. Can I see my slides on that screen as well? So, number one challenge, there are a couple of trends. Why do we actually have challenges? So number one is there's a growing shortage of skilled manufacturing workers. So we see a bigger gap. So over the last decade, people retire and we can't find the right people with the right knowledge. There's another challenge on the right side here. Over the last decades, actually, the productivity growth is the weakest since the early 80s. And that's really a problem. It's really a problem because products get more complex. We automate the factory and less people have to do a broader job, have to have more knowledge. So what does it actually mean, those two graphs? There's a couple of quotes. And number one is there's a disappearing workforce. So the workforce, pretty much which retires, is the generation of my father, of my dad. Everyone who was born between 45 and 65 right now is close to retire. And they take the knowledge they have into retirement as well, if you don't capture it. The other one, obviously, is the productivity in manufacturing. The productivity is going down if you don't have enough people. There's a quote of Deloitte here that 3.5 million manufacturing jobs available over the next decade in the US, and there are only 2 million people to fill it. The other one is it automatically leads to declining profitability. So we have 33% of all the enterprises who say an hour of downtime costs us between $1 up to $5 million. Some automotive companies here in Germany, I heard some numbers that a minute of downtime is 40,000 euros. So every minute you can avoid and be up and running faster is obviously printing money. And then more and more companies actually sell their product, but what they really make the profit on is the service afterwards. So the manufacturing and the service business have some significant challenges. And to solve those challenges, there were recently a lot of white papers published, just like Capgemini, IDC, or the Aberdeen report, which just came out today. And they say that 3 out of 4 companies who have a significant AR strategy have operational growth from over 10%. As well as if you look at the latest quote, companies who use AR see a year-over-year business growth, 29% in margin, an average 70% of the revenue. And if you look at the IDC report in the middle, they asked a lot of customers, they asked a lot of people, they asked you, where do you see the benefit of AR? And very often you said, it's in manufacturing, it's in service, it's in training. Actually, what is very interesting on the manufacturing side is 81% of the people who were asked if they see a value or where they see the value said manufacturing, 81%. 19% saying they don't know if it's manufacturing or not. But no one actually doubts that there is value of AR in manufacturing. This is almost unseen in the questionnaire, that nobody believes there's no value in AR in manufacturing. Okay, our own research pretty much shows the same thing. So in manufacturing and service, the majority of the valuable use cases underpinned by training. So we see more and more is that people start with training and then they take the training material and roll it over to training on the job, which very often is called service. So you service a product, but you take the training material onto the next level. So it's a progression of, I start here and I go to use the information for training, then for manufacturing and later on for servicing. So it's a really good investment along the value chain. So let's look at those 3 areas, manufacturing, service, underpinned by training a little bit more. If you start at the manufacturing side, there are 2 use cases we see all the time. Number one is, how do I put things together and take it apart, service them? How do I have a setup and a changeover of my machines? So basically, show me how to do it. Step-by-step instructions, work instructions. Enable the so-called frontline worker to do the job. Give him the knowledge he doesn't have. As more we automate a factory, as less people are in the factory, as more they have to maintain. And it's not always the same machine. Even if it is the same machine from the same manufacturer, and you buy them over multiple years, they have different configuration. They are different. So you need to give those specifics to these people who are left in your factory. And if they still can't solve it, the remote expert, show me what you see. Help me by sharing my screen, sharing what I see, and you tell me how to do it. Call the expert, share your screen. Very, very important use case we see in the factory. And here's an example of a customer. You've seen this video in full screen, so I only have a short summary of it. But the really interesting part is not only that they were 50% faster in assembling their product, they also deliver the instructions to the floor in hours. So they take Vuforia Studio, they build out instructions, sometimes in minutes. Just take the procedure you already have. You have it documented for whatever reason, but it already exists. Take it and deliver it in augmented reality, overlay it to the workplace, and actually you're a lot faster. So they also say there's tenths of the cost with Vuforia Studio and the Microsoft HoloLens to actually create these instructions, as well as use them for training as well. BAE is a fantastic example how they use the same instructions for training as well as for manufacturing later on. Okay, that's the most complicated slide. If I don't have it on that screen, I need to look at that screen. There are a lot of benefits actually. So if you look at productivity, I really like the improved efficiency from accurate work instructions as well as scaling the expertise. So we need to capture the knowledge so that it doesn't go away. We have it documented. I mean, if I ask you, how many of you believe that 100% of the instructions you have in your factory or service is actually documented? Who believes they're like at 90%? 80? I saw one person with 80 so far. I'm not going further down, but you get the idea. We need to capture that knowledge, and it's a really big, big deal. So it will improve the productivity as well as scale the expertise across the people. Because if you haven't have it captured, then you can't share it. That's a very, very important point. Okay, let's look at service. In the service area, it's kind of, we said originally, hey, we can take the training material into manufacturing, into service. There are slight differences on how you check things, but in general, the foundation of this structured information is very, very similar. Hence, repair procedures are very, very important. The difference here in step-by-step instructions for I show the service technician how to do things is instead of assembling, putting something together, so assemble something, he also has to put it apart first. So usually in the factory you put things together. In service you put it apart and then take it apart and then put it back together. And you've seen this in the previous presentation, how we just flip those instructions and by copy and paste. This is a very, very important point. It improves the effectiveness and lower service costs. And then again, first time fix rate is so important for service. How much money is it if you have to go there twice? Just because you don't have the right skills. You can't augment the skills to the person who is on site. And then there's no way to actually call a friend, call the expert. So in this case, remote expert guidance is so important. We even saw customers in their factory, and that's where it crosses over. The machines get serviced in the factory, obviously, as well. But they have lower service contracts now with their suppliers just because of remote assistant capabilities in augmented reality. And I give you another example of a company, very innovative company called Cannondale. So as you can see, and probably know, Cannondale makes really amazing mountain bikes. And they have the challenge that the bikes look very similar. Obviously they have different sizes, sold in different markets, but the forks, they have 7 different forks, which look to the end user identical. So we identify the fork, we use model tracking, and then we overlay the components, the component list, so actually the end user if he orders it himself. And that's kind of part of the fun if you have a high-end mountain bike, repairing it yourself. I always feel like riding it is cool, but messing with the technology afterwards is even better. So a mountain bike is typical for those high-end mountain bikes. And Cannondale built this experience actually from the first idea of, yeah, we need to do this, and shipping it on the next generation of bikes within 6 weeks. So it was a really smooth and fast rollout, and they shipped it in multiple different languages. And what they do as well is not only for the end consumer who services himself, but also for their bike dealers. They send the same experience. They know how to service it. but they still can identify the components, order the right components without having a drawing, as well as see how many of those are in stock. So the dealership has more information than the end user, but they use the same experience for that. So there's a lot of usage for all of that. In the meanwhile, they rolled out this experience for 3 different forks, and every new generation will have this. So it's a really great story of a customer who started small, but very agile, very quick, rolled it out, and already sees the benefits of not shipping the wrong part. Okay, another experience, Howden. Howden is a fantastic story. So they make these big air blowers, and they are, this one, for example, is used in a wastewater treatment facility. And you can imagine if something is going down there, it's in your neighborhood, it probably does not smell very well. So you want to have the machines running 24/7. It's a fantastic example of, something needs to run 24/7, otherwise it really starts smelling badly. And what they do is they hook this up, instrumented the machine with an IoT platform. They use PTC's ThingWorx, as well as Microsoft's Azure IoT platform, and they use Microsoft HoloLens and Vuforia Studio. So what they do now is actually building an AI experience, so the operator, the end user on site, can serve this immediately because he has the right information on hand. They actually go so far that the next generation of the Howden air blowers will be delivered with the Microsoft HoloLens. They have a complete picture of their digital twin of how they perform and can predict when service needs to happen and show the end user how to do it in augmented reality. It's a fantastic story. But there's so much more. There's so much more value in augmented reality for service. And I really like to talk about scaling expertise, capturing knowledge, scaling the expertise to everyone who needs to have it, being on time, on site, having these information. If you don't have it, again, remote assistant is your friend. There's a big combination of how you actually deliver a solution, a scalable solution from I have the information, or I think I have the information, I still have questions, I need to call someone, I want to have the first time fix rate up to 100%. I don't want to go there twice, because this is really hitting the bottom line. Good. How do we do this? When we look at new technologies, and some people would say AI is still fairly new, there's always a chasm to cross. And very often, pretty much all of the projects start somewhere in an innovation lab. People build prototypes, proof of concepts, and they put a lot of effort in because they test out the technology. They try to find the use cases. They try to define the ROI, the value. And that's fine. But if you want to scale it, you really need to have a solution which brings the cost per experience really down. So that's the only way to scale it. And we believe that we did everything with Vuforia Studio and Vuforia Shark to actually give you a scalable solution, to cross the chasm and get those proof of concepts. Last year, Jürgen, I remember we talked about proof of value, right? We need to get to a proof of value, but now we need to get into production. It's another year later, and we see the first people getting those things into production. And what we see as well is very often, if you start in the innovation lab, the business owner or the IT department are not involved. And that's usually trouble. It's trouble because you actually don't take the right environment. You actually go out and say like, oh, I test this on device A, but the company would never let device A into the network. So you have to have the IT department in. And if you don't have a problem to solve, so you don't have the business in, you're actually just playing around. This usually doesn't end up with like a big investment, like budget for your case, and you're just behind the curve. And you will never get it in production. So my recommendation here is get the business and the IT department in as soon as possible and build out your AR strategy. You got to have an AR strategy by now. So how do we do this? Vuforia Studio. Vuforia Studio is an AR authoring platform, publishing platform, and viewing platform. And we have a web browser where you can just view all the content. We call it Vuforia View. And the content is stored and managed by an experience service, which connects to all your IoT systems or all the other sources of truth. And then all the content is created in a web environment via drag and drop, very easy, predefined widgets, or even further predefined templates looking a little bit into the future. So how does it look like? Here's a short video. So drag and drop environment, widgets, create targets, and then we use all kinds of 3D data, bring it in, bring instructions in. If you don't have instructions, you can build them with Creo Illustrate. Very easy, drag and drop, very modern user interface. The best of Vuforia tracking technologies. It doesn't matter what use case you have a spatial tracker, you have the model targets. We just give it all to you. It's all in, just with a push of a button. And then obviously, very important point, we build it that it is natively connected into our IoT platform called ThingWorks. You can reuse all these information in ThingWorks, properties, services, events, state-based formatting, all of this are shared between dashboards, AI experiences, or wherever you use it. And it runs on all different platforms. But there's a lot more. There's a lot more what Vuforia Studio provides you. First of all, we have a secure and flexible deployment. So at the beginning, we obviously started like everyone, here at cloud hosted, and that's the fastest way to develop software. But ultimately, where the biggest manufacturing and service cases are, you sometimes have an air gap. You're not connected to the outside. You have a separate network. You have to have this on premises. So we deploy Vuforia Studio on premise or with a certified cloud hosting. You can deliver the applications via public store or private store, your SCCM system. We have full flexibility here. We quickly talked about the advanced tracking technology. So everything Vuforia offers you get it in Vuforia Studio, obviously. All the market-leading AR tracking technology. And then you can use it across all devices, all platforms. Vuforia is I would say, the best cross-platform AR technology available. And pick your device of choice, your platform of choice, we run on it. The next one is we localized it, obviously. So we work in a global market, we service our products in a global market, we actually manufacture them in a global market. So the software has to be available in all different languages, as well as the documentation. So that's something offline experiences, the next one. You realize in service very often, people are in locations where LTE is not that available, or the Wi-Fi is actually not that great, like a conference like this. So you have to take your data offline. You have to take it offline, get the job done, get back online, report the data back. Things like this. So take the data wherever you need it. And then obviously we have a native integration into PTC's ThingWorks IoT solution, which also is a great data hub and connects all the different source systems. You have a PLM system, we connect to it. You have a CRM system, we connect to it. We don't want to duplicate the data. It's already managed, version controlled, changed, managed. We want to have the right data at the right time for the right person, but we don't want to duplicate the data. So we connect to it and we share all the goodness of the market-leading IoT platform ThingWorks, as well as all the CAD integrations. So you have a CAD tool, we can read the data. But we mentioned it earlier. A very, very important point to actually face those challenges we see is I need to call an expert when I'm on site so I don't have to go there twice. Or I get my service contracts in my factory down because someone doesn't need to drive there. So Vuforia Shark is a solution which actually gives you a remote assistant with advanced computer vision, video stream, voice, low bandwidth, everything you need, and connects to people. Here's how it looks like.
This is Vuforia Shark, an easy-to-use, powerful support tool that allows your workforce to collaborate in real time, anywhere. Chalk enables your workforce to connect for support or training. First, employees can share a live view of their workspace with an expert or coworker.
The waste valve here. Now that that's closed, you can turn on your surface wash valve, which is here.
Okay, got it.
Both people can draw on the world and work together as if they are together. And thanks to Vuforia augmented reality technology, your annotations stick exactly where they're drawn, even when you move around as you work. In fact, you can pause the live view to draw easy-to-follow, multi-step instructions. With Chalk, simple instructions help you solve complex problems quickly and effectively.
Okay. That is Vuforia Chalk. If you want to see this, we have it at our booth, and yeah, stop by, try it yourself. It's quite impressive. So, to summarize this, the challenge is real, and let's be very honest, it's pretty romantic to ignore it. So, the next generation is retiring. They take the knowledge away. The knowledge retires, you have to capture it. Our environments get more complex. It's actually our fault. We are all more picky of what we try to buy, and we want to have our own special configuration of it, so the manufacturing process getting more complex. We automate more. People have to have a broader knowledge on time. And we really want to help you. We put a portfolio together with a market-leading AR technology. From a tracking perspective, it's cross-platform, pick your device. We have an AR authoring environment which connects nicely into your environment and reuses everything you have, and then presents it in a complete new way on time, in the right space for the right person, or connect to the expert. And we have 30 years of experience working with all of you. So if you have any questions, now is a good time, or come to our booth. If you don't trust me, just try it out yourself. There are more than 10,000 people. I think it's 12, 13,000 companies already. 14 is what I just hear. These numbers are going up compared to the numbers of who thinks he has documented everything. They were just going down. But just try it out. Go to studio.vuforia.com and get a 30-day free trial. Everything you have seen, just try it out. Thank you very much. Pretty good on time, huh?
Perfect. Also you're the first one who really hit it. Great presentation. I was so often thinking, yes, that's exactly the same way we argue in you have to cross this chasm. That's perfect. Also many thanks, I think, to share all of this. Do we have questions for Marc?
Don't be shy.
Okay, maybe I have a question for you. What are the biggest challenges your customer facing? So not with the technology, just beyond the technology. When what we talked today morning, when they want to introduce this, when it's more than typical technical questions and data questions. What are those?
I mean, we obviously see. Let's go into the factory as an example. Very often, if you have a factory, actually you did not build the machines. You bought the machines from a supplier. They don't come with the right CAD data, so you can create those AR experience. Or, they don't come with an AR experience to actually service and manufacture them. But, so content is a problem. But obviously, we need to have a way to capture the content. So we capture it in situ, and Mike showed it earlier, that we're working on the next generation of Vuforia enhancements to actually capture everything you do in the situation, in context, so we can actually derive the information that you get to 100% documentation, and the knowledge is not walking out of the door. So having these kind of information, and I think you mentioned it earlier, content is king, or someone else. This is really a challenge in the manufacturing area. So that's why we work on these technologies to capture it on the fly. That's clearly one, and we also see, the network is an issue. The AR technology is moving so fast these days. So we, for example, deliver our technology every 28 days. But if you have an air gap and you have a separate network in your factory, updating the software every 28 days needs to be as easy as possible. It almost needs to be like a push of a button that we roll it out. So software as a service is actually really important, so you don't have to do it on every client. You obviously have all the battles with your IT department. That's great, and it's going to happen. But yeah, what challenges do you see?
I was hoping that you also would address a kind of workers' council complaints, because things are really soft when people are running around in a workshop suddenly with a lot of glasses or tablets recording. And this is a common problem of AR, that there will be a set of people who don't want to be recorded. They don't want to be tracked, and we have to have answers for that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the classic example here of if I focus on the tablet and walk around in the factory, I'm actually missing a lot of stuff which happens around me. So that's a big safety challenge we have to face and we have to actually build into the software. That's, I don't know, if I'm walking around and I have the tablet right in front of me, maybe I shouldn't see anything, the screen needs to go black. So those safety information and things need to be built into the software, and that's what, we constantly learn about those and we build it in, but there's more to come and more to think about, to be very honest. Okay, I did not mention that, but I can explain to you. So what we do is we obviously want to give you the best tracking and identification mechanisms as possible. So some people say, hey, identify the product via a VIN number or a serial number or a QR code, a barcode, whatever. We want to give you all of those. So that's the identification part. Then there's the tracking part. You can obviously take an image itself, just an image target. We have seen in the presentation before. It's the easiest way. You can use ARKit, AR Core based functionality, so which we integrated with our Fusion technology into Vuforia. So we track a horizontal plane or a ground plane. Then you don't need any marker at all. The HoloLens is, by the way, doing the same thing. We use location as well. So we have a couple of prototypes for. Very often we talk about smart connected products and servicing products, but there is smart connected operations. If you look at a factory, AR is going into spaces. And if you look at spaces, you want to make it location specific. All of this just triggers the experience and knows what to look at that moment, at that space, at that time. And then you need the tracker itself. So what we do is we use model targets very often. So we take the 3D model itself and build a tracking target of that. We use, we just released it actually, advanced recognition. So we use a deep learning algorithm, so you can just walk up to the product. It doesn't matter from which angle and which side, and it starts tracking it. So we separate those two things, but we also have it combined, which we call the ViewMark technology, or implemented in Vuforia Studio as a ThingMark, and that's technically an image marker with an identification code. So when you scan this, it will know exactly what is in front of you, what is the product, what is the serial number, it downloads the experience, the right content for it, and it starts as initiating the tracking from this as well, and then uses obviously all the goodness of the Vuforia tracking technology.
Okay, there's one last question. Do we have a microphone maybe close? Or can you speak loud enough? No, you said you can ask a question if you like. Please, but without, I meant without a microphone, you could have just yelled.
Sorry.
Just need to yell at me.
Yeah, so actually I have a question mainly about the Vuforia Chuck. So at this moment there are lots of restrictions for lots of industries, high-tech industries, with respect to the connectivity, getting the video or sounds out of their site. So do you see that this is going to change in the future with basically more of AR remote solutions coming to the market? I mean, like in semiconductor industry or pharma industry, basically I think the benefit of these remote solutions applications is for complicated systems, and these industries basically include lots of this machinery. Yeah,
I mean, that's a difficult question because there are technically two answers, right? You can move everything on-premise and build the services which you use and are used to from your network providers, from Amazon, the Trello services or whatever, and rebuild it yourself so you can install everything on-premise and it never leaves the facility, but that's not really an option, let's be honest. So that's one thing. The other one is the perception, obviously. Are there areas where you say, this is an area where video streaming is fine, this is an area where this is not fine? I mean, all of those... The communication is always end-to-end encrypted, so there's nothing which goes away, to be very honest. But I don't have a complete answer to actually say it's going this or that way in 5 years. I still believe there will be areas where video streaming is just not an option. The other question, obviously, is can we do it without a video stream, just based on a SLAM map? So there's research going on in this direction, but I do not have a final solution on hand right now.
Marc, many thanks for the great presentation.